The hidden cost of eating too often. For most people, eating feels harmless. Breakfast in the morning, snacks during the day, late-night cravings before sleep. Normal routines repeated thousands of times across an entire lifetime. But what if constantly eating is quietly damaging the human body in ways most people never realize? Because according to a growing number of longevity researchers, the modern habit of eating almost non-stop may be keeping the body trapped in a permanent growth state, one linked to higher inflammation, metabolic dysfunction, accelerated aging, and reduced cellular repair. And the terrifying part? The food industry profits from making sure that cycle never stops. Humans were never designed to eat every few hours under artificial light while sitting in constant stress. Yet modern life has normalized continuous consumption to the point where true metabolic recovery almost never happens anymore. Now, scientists studying fasting, longevity, and cellular repair are uncovering a disturbing possibility. The body may heal itself most powerfully when it finally stops eating. For decades, people were taught that eating constantly was healthy. 3 meals a day, snacks in between, never get too hungry, keep your metabolism running. And over time, the modern world turned eating into a non-stop activity. Coffee loaded with sugar in the morning, processed snacks during work, energy drinks in the afternoon, late-night food under blue light before sleep. The body rarely gets a break anymore. But now, a growing number of scientists and longevity researchers are questioning whether this constant state of consumption is quietly damaging human biology. Because every time you eat, the body shifts into a growth and storage mode. Insulin rises, blood sugar changes, digestion activates, cells focus on nutrient processing and energy storage. That process is completely normal. The problem begins when it never stops. According to researchers studying metabolism and aging, modern humans may spend too little time in a fasted state, the biological condition where the body temporarily shifts away from constant digestion and begins activating deeper maintenance and repair systems. And this is where the science becomes fascinating. When food intake pauses for long enough, insulin levels begin dropping, and the body gradually changes how it generates energy. Instead of relying entirely on incoming glucose, the body starts accessing stored energy reserves. But more importantly, cellular cleanup mechanisms may also become more active. One of the most discussed processes linked to fasting is called autophagy, a term that literally means self-eating. It sounds disturbing, but autophagy is actually one of the body's natural survival mechanisms. During this process, cells break down and recycle damaged components, removing dysfunctional material that could otherwise accumulate over time. Some scientists compare it to taking out cellular garbage, and researchers studying longevity believe this process may play an important role in healthy aging. In 2016, Japanese scientist Yoshinori Ohsumi received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for discovering related to mechanisms of autophagy, bringing global attention to how cells recycle damaged material. Suddenly, fasting transformed from an ancient spiritual practice into a major scientific discussion. Biohackers, athletes, Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, and longevity researchers became obsessed with intermittent fasting protocols, time-restricted eating, and metabolic flexibility. Not because fasting was trendy, but because the body may operate differently when it isn't constantly digesting food. Some studies have linked fasting-related interventions to improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, metabolic health improvements, and cellular stress resistance. Researchers are also investigating potential links between fasting and brain function, mitochondrial efficiency, and longevity pathways. And this is where the modern food environment becomes impossible to ignore. Because today's world is engineered around permanent consumption. Ultra processed foods are scientifically designed to be hyper-palatable, combining sugar, salt, fats, and artificial flavoring in ways that keep humans craving more. Algorithms flood people with food advertisements constantly. Convenience culture removes nearly all natural pauses between meals. The system benefits when people keep eating continuously. And according to many metabolic researchers, the consequences are becoming catastrophic. Obesity rates continue rising globally. Type 2 diabetes is increasing rapidly. Metabolic dysfunction is becoming normalized even in younger populations. At the same time, chronic inflammation, strongly linked to poor metabolic health, is now associated with cognitive decline, cardiovascular disease, and accelerated aging itself, which raises an uncomfortable possibility. What if the human body was never designed for the modern pattern of non-stop feeding? What if constantly eating is quietly overwhelming biological systems that evolved during periods of scarcity, movement, and metabolic fluctuation, and perhaps most disturbing of all, what if true repair only begins when consumption finally stops? The idea sounds almost backwards in the modern world. People have been conditioned to fear hunger, to treat it like an emergency, a problem to solve immediately, something dangerous. But throughout most of human history, humans didn't have constant access to food. The body evolved during cycles of eating and fasting, periods of abundance followed by periods where energy had to be carefully managed for survival. And according to many researchers, those fasting periods may have activated biological processes modern humans rarely experience anymore. Because when the body isn't constantly digesting food, something remarkable begins happening beneath the surface. Insulin levels stabilize, inflammatory activity may decrease, stored energy becomes accessible, and cells shift focus from growth toward maintenance and repair. This metabolic shift is one reason fasting has become such a major topic in longevity science. Researchers are now studying how fasting-related interventions may influence pathways connected to inflammation, mitochondrial health, insulin sensitivity, oxidative stress, and even brain function. Some studies suggest fasting may help support production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, a protein associated with learning, memory, and neuroplasticity. Others are investigating how fasting affects metabolic flexibility, the body's ability to efficiently switch between glucose and stored fat for fuel. And this is where modern eating habits become deeply concerning. Many people now eat from the moment they wake up until shortly before sleep, which means insulin remains elevated for large portions of the day, while digestion rarely pauses long enough for deeper metabolic recovery. The body becomes locked in constant intake mode, and over years, that may contribute to insulin resistance, energy instability, inflammation, weight gain, and metabolic dysfunction. What makes this especially dangerous is how normalized it all feels. Food isn't just nutrition anymore. It's entertainment, stress relief, dopamine stimulation, advertisings, social ritual. Entire industries are built around keeping humans consuming continuously, and AI-driven algorithms make the cycle even stronger, learning exactly when people crave stimulation, comfort, or reward. Modern technology doesn't just understand human hunger. It studies it, optimizes it, profits from it. That's why many biohackers and longevity researchers now focus less on what humans eat and more on how often they eat, not as starvation, not as punishment, but as a way to restore biological rhythms the modern environment disrupted. Still, serious researchers consistently warn against turning fasting into extremism, because fasting is not magic, and human biology is highly individual. Age, medical conditions, activity levels, medications, metabolic health, and nutritional status all matter. Excessive fasting or disordered eating behaviors can create serious health risks if approached recklessly. The real lesson emerging from longevity science is much deeper than simply skipping meals. It's that the human body appears to require periods of recovery, not just from work, stress, and stimulation, but from consumption itself. And maybe that's the hidden cost of eating too often. Not only the calories, not only the weight gain, but the possibility that the body never gets enough silence to repair the damage of being alive. Because in a world obsessed with more food, more stimulation, more convenience, more consumption, the most powerful biological reset may come from strategically doing less. Less intake, less excess, less constant pressure on systems never designed for non-stop abundance. And maybe that's why fasting continues to fascinate scientists, biohackers, and billionaires alike. Not because humans discovered a shortcut to immortality, but because the body may already contain ancient repair systems modern life accidentally switched off. So now we want to hear from you. Could you go an entire day without food if science proved it might improve your health and longevity? Or do you think modern fasting culture is becoming another dangerous obsession? Drop your answer below. And if you're ready to explore more dark, science-backed stories about AI, metabolism, biohacking, and the hidden systems controlling human health, subscribe before the next investigation goes.